Good afternoon. Welcome to the GDI Consulting's webinar on the MDA SHIELD opportunity. My name is Cal and I am your artificial intelligence host today. With me is Ab Vand, VP for Capture at GDI Consulting and a subject matter expert on these opportunities. Ab will guide you through today's deep dive into the SHIELD program. Whether you're new to the SHIELD opportunity or have been tracking it and are looking to improve your standing, this session is designed to give you actionable intelligence. Let me first introduce Ab. Ab has over 30 years of experience in capture and proposal management. He is considered an expert in self-scoring as well as traditional proposal and capture efforts. Ab has managed over 1,000 successful capture and proposal efforts and is a regular contributor to Washington Technology and other online GovCon magazines. He has also held numerous training webinars for various APMP chapters and APEX, previously PTAC, offices throughout the U.S. Before starting, there are a few housekeeping notes I would like to mention. First, this webinar is being recorded and the link to the recording will be sent to you within 24 hours. Second, we will hold a Q&A session at the end. You can send your questions during the webinar by the chat system to the right of your window and Ab will address them at the end. Third, you can download this presentation by clicking on the link under File on the right-hand side panel on your window. We highly recommend you download the slide deck so that you can always refer back to it. So let's see what this webinar covers. We will first have a quick glimpse on GDI Consulting's capabilities. Then, some background on the Golden Globe Missile Defense Program, which is the backbone of the SHIELD opportunity. After that, Ab will provide the general details of the SHIELD opportunity such as its scope, contract value, duration, and important dates. Next he will discuss the proposal structure and the evaluation and source selection system. Ab will also touch on the minimum requirements for companies to participate in the SHIELD opportunity as well as the security requirements. A discussion of teaming as it pertains to priming as well as subcontracting follows. Finally, before going into the Q&A, Ab will provide some general recommendations and insights towards preparing a winning proposal. So, with that, I will now hand over the control to Ab to first give a short glimpse on GDI Consulting's capabilities. Ab, you can take over now.
Hello everyone, thank you for participating in our GDI Consulting webinar on the MDA SHIELD opportunity. As Cal mentioned, we highly recommend that you download the presentation slide deck because I have a lot to cover in this webinar and I might be going a little bit too fast. So you can download the presentation slide deck and refer back to it. If you have any problems in downloading, just say so on the chat system, we'll send it by email. And of course, you can submit any questions that you have, and I'll try to answer them on the Q&A session at the end. Okay, so let's very quickly go over the GDIC capabilities and services before we dive into the SHIELD opportunity itself. So very quickly, we've been in business for over 15 years. We are one of the leaders in capture and proposal management. We specialize in federal opportunities. We, for self-scoring proposals such as Oasis Plus, we have had a 98% win rate. In the last Oasis Plus submission, we had 97 awards for our clients. We have an overall 82% win rate on the DoD opportunities, over 650 clients. 86 of them are large businesses. Some of them are on the top 10 list of defense contractors. And just to give you an idea, in 2024, we had 289 wins for our clients for a cumulative value of $19.6 million worth of contracts. I won't go into the details of the rest of this. You can always refer back to this if you want more information about us. Now, as far as the services we provide services in 4 different departments, actually. Proposal development, that would be, we provide eligibility and score assessment, full task order or standalone proposal support, IDIQ, BPA, and GWAC proposal support, of course, including self-scoring types like Oasis Plus or Alliant 3. Review services for those who have their own teams, and staff augmentation, again, for those who have their own teams but are missing specific positions. In terms of capture, we provide dedicated long-term capture management, sometimes 2-3 years before the actual opportunity is out. We also provide short-term, we call it sourcing and qualifications type capture for smaller businesses. And we create a complete pipeline for our clients to go after. We also have special capture services for special vehicles like Oasis Plus, GSA Mass, Seaport, and others, in which we actually track opportunities, task orders, you could say, under those, and then provide go, no-go, and reports to our clients, and whether they want to go after it or not. And then we use a platform called Capture Edge. It's our own platform for our purposes, and also a lot of our clients are actually using this capture management platform. It's AI-based. It provides a full spectrum of capabilities from sourcing from different vehicles, plus, of course, SAM, all the way to qualification, previous contracts, competitors, pricing. All of that is covered under Capture Edge. Now, in third, Department Support Services, we provide accounting preparations for DCAA and DCMA audits that some of our clients require. CMMC certification support, which is required for all DoD contractors starting from this year. And we need that for SHIELD as well. I'll go into that. Price to win, competitive intel, and black hat exercises are also services that we provide. And then finally, training. We provide customized proposal and capture management training for our clients. Okay, so these were the four main areas. Now, as far as the SHIELD, MDA SHIELD is concerned, the services we provide are free consultation, pre-qualification assessment, full capture services, full proposal development. That's a cradle to grave proposal preparation plus multiple reviews and compliance checks. And then for those who have their own team, in-house teams, we can provide 2 rounds of compliance checks and reviews, and then review reports and debrief meetings for those reviews that we do. So these are the different types of services we provide for the SHIELD opportunity. Okay, so that is a little bit about our company's background. Let's start with the Golden Globe missile defense, because this is the backbone of the SHIELD opportunity. So we need to have a little bit of information about this. Okay, so let's start with the goal of the Golden Dome project. The goal is to deliver an integrated, layered homeland defense shield combining land, sea, air, and space-based sensors and shielders. The mission is to protect the continental US, obviously, as well as potentially forward deployed forces and allies from a wide range of threats. This is set by 2029. We will be in this project leveraging combat-proven systems while rapidly incorporating emerging technologies like space-based interceptors, for example, directed energy, yes, the old directed energy, artificial intelligence, and digital engineering. Okay, now let's discuss scope. So here we are highlighting the scope of the Golden Dome project. The architecture is multi-domain, uniting sensors across land, sea, air, and space. Command and control will rely on an open architecture backbone building on the C2BMC for real-time decision-making. And then interceptors will span ground, ship, and space systems. And integration will be enabled through digital twins, agile prototyping, and advanced cybersecurity. I'm not going into the details of this intentionally because I don't want this webinar to be very technical, just to give you an idea of what we have. Now, let's look at some of the key milestones for the Golden Dome project. starting with the executive order signed in January 2025, to the delivery of the DoD requirements, the Trump administration unveiling in May 2025, and then subsequent budget and funding actions. You can see different dates. Important industry summits in August, for example, with demonstrations of space interceptors targeted for 2028 and full operational capability planned for the end of 2029. So these are some of the important dates. Next, we have the federal agencies involved. So obviously the Department of Defense leads the integration effort, while the Missile Defense Agency is the technical lead for prototyping and contract design. The U.S. Space Force manages the program directly, with NASA providing technical synergies. So all these agencies are involved. Now, budgetary oversight comes from, obviously, OMB, while Congress provides oversight and funding approval. So you can see all these agencies are involved. Now, let's discuss also industry participants. So prime integrators include, obviously, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Parsons. Sensor and radar specialists like Leonardo DRS and Raytheon are involved, along with interceptor developers like Boeing or L3 Harris. Space providers include SpaceX and Rocket Lab, and non-traditional firms such as Anduril and Palantir, being in AI and analytics expertise. So a lot of expertise is involved, depending on different types of work. Now, on this slide, we are outlining the required services and technologies. So the program demands rapid R&D, model-based system engineering, and AI-powered sensor fusion. Other needs include open architecture command and control systems, directed energy technologies, space-based constellations, and rigorous cybersecurity measures. I'll go into the details in SHIELD in a minute. Now, let's review the contracting vehicles and opportunities. The SHIELD IDIQ, which we will be covering, is a $151 billion 10-year contract with task orders completed across the technology domains that I mentioned, and we will go in more details later on. In addition, OTAs, other transaction authorities, and small business set-asides will provide rapid prototyping opportunities. So SHIELD IDIQ is not the only one, but it's probably the largest contract vehicle for this. Let's discuss budget. So the Reconciliation Act allocates $24.4 billion in mandatory funding through 2029. With most directed towards next-gen missile defense. Now, the administration, the new administration, projects this program could cost between $75 to $175 billion overall, with a substantial portion of the Space Force budget dedicated to the Golden Dome projects. So these are some of the budgetary issues that are coming and going between different agencies. Okay, so that was a very short intro to the Golden Globe initiative or project. Now let's dive into the MDA SHIELD opportunity itself. So let's start with an overview of SHIELD. The SHIELD stands for Scalable, Homeland, Innovative, Enterprise, Layered Defense. So that's what's SHIELD about. Scalable, Homeland, Innovative, Enterprise, Layered Defense. Now, it's a massive initiative led by the Missile Defense Agency under the Golden Dome strategy. The vision is to connect land, sea, air, space, as we discussed, and cyber systems into one seamless defense architecture. And they're planning that by 2029, SHIELD aims to protect the U.S. homeland, deployed forces, and allied partners against ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, hypersonic threats, and UAVs. So the government is seeking both proven systems alongside the emerging technologies that we're seeing coming out every day. So as far as the Golden Dome initiative, we did cover it, but the program essentially consolidates many missile defense and aerospace activities into one massive IDIQ here, giving the government a single framework to integrate advanced technologies. These include space-based interceptors, directed energy, digital engineering, and artificial intelligence for sensor fusion. This effort ensures the U.S. stays ahead of near-peer competitors by modernizing and unifying missile defense capabilities. Okay, now let's discuss a little bit more the scope of the SHIELD program. So there are 19 scope areas: science and technology, research and development, prototyping, studies, demonstrations, testing of prototypes, disruptive technologies, experimentation, architecture development, modeling, simulation and analysis, systems engineering, weapon design and development, integration and assembly, production and fielding, test and evaluation, operation and sustainment, modernization, hardware and software modifications, data mining, collection, analysis, minor facilities engineering or construction, and then finally cybersecurity. So these are the 19 areas that SHIELD covers. Now, you can actually bunch up these different areas into a few more generalized ones. First one is sensors and C2. So SHIELD integrates radars on land, sensors at sea, airborne platforms, and advanced space-based infrared and radio frequency payloads. The key is to connect all these sensors into the C2BMC backbone, giving commanders a clear, unified picture of threats. This enables faster and smarter decisions when, obviously, in this field, every second counts. So this is one area of the scope. Another area are the shooters and enablers. So SHIELD will link together proven interceptor systems like the ground-based interceptor, the THAAD, Patriot PAC-3, and the Standard Missile-3. It also looks ahead to space-based micro interceptors and directed energy weapons, which could be actually game changers. Beyond the weapons themselves, enabling technologies matter just as much. So digital engineering, model-based design, agile prototyping, and secure supply chain practices will all be needed. So as you can see, we had the sensors and then here the shooters. So these are the two main areas. Now, what the scope does not cover, it's good to understand that. So advisory and assistance and system engineering and technical assistance. I'll go into details of this. So these are not included in the scope of SHIELD. So advisory and assistance covers management and professional support services, studies, analysis and evaluations, engineering and technical services to support the program office during acquisition. So all the types of studies and things like that for acquisition, and the type of professional support services in office work or acquisition or that sort of thing, that is not covered under SHIELD. In terms of systems engineering and technical assistance, okay, it's important to understand that this systems engineering is different from the system engineering that was in fact one of the 19 areas of the scope. Here it means You do the system engineering to provide technical assistance. That is not part of the scope. So things like deriving requirements, performing technology assessments, developing acquisition strategies, and so on and so forth, these are not part of the SHIELD scope, just to clarify. Okay, let's now discuss contract value and duration. So the SHIELD IDIQ is one of the largest government contracts we will see, with a ceiling of $151 billion. At least that's what's said so far. The period of performance spans 10 years, starting with a 3-year base, then 3 option years. First option is 2 years, second option is 3 years, third option is 2 years again. So overall, it's 7 years. Plus 3 comes to it overall 10 years. Now, individual task orders will be competed under fair opportunity rules. Now, depending on the requirement, task orders may use firm fixed price, cost reimbursable types, or time and material, and different types similar. So this setup provides both the government and industry with long-term capabilities that are needed by the government and long-term contracts that companies can actually depend on. Okay, let's go over the NAICS because it's important. The primary NAICS code for SHIELD is 541715, which covers research and development in the physical engineering and life sciences. The size standard is 1,000 employees, so it's not a income-based type NAICS size. It's based on the number of employees. So if you're less than 1,000, you're considered small business. But the scope is much wider than just research and development, obviously, including codes for engineering services, computer systems, design, biotech, nanotech, aircraft, missiles, space vehicle, manufacturing, all of that. So this broad set of NAICS codes opens the door for both large integrators and highly specialized small businesses to participate. Now, I've listed some of them more important here, but let's look at the full list. So this is the full list of all the NAICS codes that are applicable to SHIELD, and it's 2 pages actually, 2 slides. So the next slide is here. So you can see there are quite a lot of them. Obviously, because of contractual requirements, they have to give one NAICS code, which is R&D, to the solicitation itself. But in reality, SHIELD covers all these different types of NAICS codes. So if you work in any of these and cover any of those 19 scope areas, you can actually participate. Okay, and you can always refer back to this later on. Now, let's discuss some of these key milestones and timelines. So the SHIELD timeline is fast-paced. The pre-solicitation was released in May, followed by the draft in late July. Now, questions were due by August 11th, and Industry Day took place in August. Now, the final RFP is expected at the end of September, from what we have heard, or during September, with proposals likely due in October or November. Contract awards are projected for June 2026. This means companies must move quickly with capture and teaming strategies in place well before the final RFP drops. So if you've not started, you're late, but it's not too late. You really need to start immediately. Okay, let's now discuss the proposal structure and how what are the requirements, how you're supposed to prepare your proposal. So the SHIELD proposal is structured in 2 volumes. I'll discuss volume 3 in a minute. Now, volume 1 covers all the administrative details plus responsibility matters. So your SF-33, reps and certs, subcontracting plan, financial capability, and so on and so forth, FOSI disclosures, and so on and so forth. Volume 2 is the technical volume, and it's the only part which will actually be scored, so they will be reviewing it in detail. It focuses on your corporate experience. I'll go into the detail of that. Now, there used to be a volume 3, and you can see it here, but this has been removed now. So there's no volume 3 about responsibility and past performance. Everything is within volume 1 and 2. And as far as past performance is concerned, it goes into the corporate experience volume 2 part. So there's no past performance per se required here. Also note that there's no pricing required until the task order, you're at the task order stage. So there's no price volume either. Now let's go into the details of what is needed in volume 1 and volume 2. So volume 1 calls for administrative information. So volume 1 is focused on administrative compliance, includes signed SF-33 offer form, all required reps and certs, and a subcontracting plan, which I will go into the details of it in a little bit, for large businesses. FOSI disclosures, along with an organizational conflict of interest statement or plan. If you do have OCI, you might not have any contracts that do create OCI, which in that case a statement is enough. But if and this stands for many large businesses, if you have OCI and you're performing contracts for MDA, other contracts for MDA, and so on and so forth, you do need a OCI plan, and you have to actually include the OCI plan here. Of course, you have to also prove that your SAM.gov registration is active, provide your cage code, and the usual administrative information. Now, even though this volume is not scored, any mistakes or missing documents here can, get you a disqualification. So you don't want to make any mistakes here. Now, in terms of completeness and accuracy, there's no page limit, but accuracy is critical. The government uses this section to verify your responsibility as a contractor. So, and they can actually disqualify you. So you might go through all the requirements, pass everything, and when you reach the responsibility, if you're missing something, say you haven't included the small business subcontracting plan, you fail the responsibility check. They'll be looking closely at your financial health, your clearances, your ownership disclosures, all of those come here. Any missing or incorrect detail could be enough to eliminate your proposal. So you don't want to make any mistakes. You need to double check everything before you submit. Okay. Let's also discuss the small business subcontracting plan that large businesses that need to provide. So obviously this is for large businesses only. Small businesses do not need to provide a subcontracting plan. The goal that you need to reach is 30% small business overall. So, but there are also specific category-based goals that you have to abide to. So small disadvantaged business 5%, women-owned small businesses 5%, hubs-owned small business 3%, service-disabled veteran-owned STVOSB 5%, and Ability 1.0. If you're not familiar with Ability 1, these are the companies or subcontractors who have disabilities or employees with disabilities, and they specialize in those types of work. But it's 0 here, so you don't have to hire any of those. Overall, though, you have to have 30% subcontracted to small businesses. And of course, as you know, any IDIQ, and specifically here in SHIELD, 50% of the services that you provide and the payment for the services that you get from the government must come from you. So overall, less than 50% can be subcontracted, whether it's small business or large. Subcontractors, doesn't matter. 50% or less. Now, this 50% or less for subcontracting does not apply to small businesses who are going for SHIELD, but it applies for large businesses. Now, ensure that you provide a complete small business subcontractor plan, as I mentioned, is part of this responsibility determination in the evaluation process, and you want to have past that. Okay, let's start with volume 2 now, which is called corporate experience. So volume 2 is the core of SHIELD's evaluation, essentially, because the others, you essentially fill out the forms, the administrative documents, and prepare them. There's nothing there. So, but here, they're going to evaluate your corporate experience. So you can submit 2 to 3. Not 1, 2, minimum 2, or 3, maximum 3 past performance examples, but they must be recent within the last 5 years. So recent within the last 5 years of the date the full solicitation drops. Now, each example must show work in at least 2 of the SHIELD scope areas. Remember those 19 scope areas? Now, each of the contracts that you bring to the table must show work in at least 2 of them. And they've said not to be more than 3. So at least 2 is important, such as sensors, interceptors, or digital engineering. One of those 90 or 2 of those 90. Now, evaluators will be looking for recency, which means within the past 5 years, relevance, scale, scope, and complexity. So strong, clear examples that prove your capability will give you the best chance of winning a seat. Okay, now in terms of documentation and compliance, I'm trying to highlight the documentation rules for volume 2. Each project example must stand alone. You cannot reference other volumes or projects. That means that all the relevant details need to be included in each write-up. Now, there's a form that comes with the RFP. You have to actually input the information into those forms. It's not a free write-up. So there's a specific form that you actually use. It's called attachment L03. And then you input those. Now, either the form must be signed by the contracting officer, or if you're using a commercial contract or a subcontract, by the prime, or if you provide FPDS extracts, printouts of that specific contract, that's acceptable. Obviously, you can't do that for subcontracts or commercial contracts, but for prime contracts that you had with the government, there is an FPDS printout that you can actually download from the FPDS website. And that, when you have that, you don't need to get signatures for those forms that you fill out for volume 2. But if you don't have FPDS printouts, which is in 3 different ways. One is that you are a prime, but for many reasons, including security reasons, your contract is not mentioned in FPDS. Or you are a subcontractor to a prime contractor, in which case, again, you don't have an FPDS in your name. You can't use your primes. You cannot. So again, there you have to get a signature. And third, you use perhaps a commercial contract, although honestly, commercial contracts will probably get much less exposure to the evaluators because they want to see, they have mentioned that it has to be from MDA or similar contracts, similar projects. So we'll have to see. So these are the 3 cases in which you actually have to get a signature on those forms. So the goal is to make it easy for evaluators to see that your company has the proven experience that they're looking for, essentially here on volume 2. So Let's also discuss cost, volume, and submission. So as I mentioned, you don't need to submit a cost or price volume. This will come later. So when you're awarded the overall IDIQ, then when individual task orders are completed, you provide pricing there. So for now, just focus on getting those 2 volumes ready and make sure that they're uploaded correctly through the PIEE portal. So you can't send by email. You can't submit by email. You have to actually upload through the PIEE system. And I don't know if you've worked with PIEE. It's very troublesome many times. So don't try to wait until the last day to submit. Make sure that you submit way ahead. Actually, MDA has mentioned it. They've said they strongly advise to submit early. And I've seen many cases in which they had technical issues on the last day. So and you don't want to cost the contract and lose that contract just for that. Okay. So let's now discuss the evaluation factors. So how the government is actually going through the source selection and the evaluation factors. The most important thing that you need to understand about SHIELD, and I think this is very important both for large businesses and small businesses, they are not going to compare you with each other. So they're not going to score per se, like say Oasis, and say, hey, anyone above a specific score, we will award. Anyone below that, we will not award. So in fact, small businesses have equal opportunity of winning a contract compared to large businesses, as long as obviously you don't make any mistakes in volume 1 and you have 2 to 3 contracts that you can submit for volume 2. So if you have good contracts with MDA or contracts with other I should say DoD agencies that cover any of those 19 areas, there are good contracts, strong contracts, you have a very high chance of winning. It doesn't matter if you're a small business or you're a large business. And you did note that I did not mention any values for the contracts. There's no restriction to the value of the contract being, say, above $10 million or above $50 million. So again, that's a plus for small businesses, for small innovative businesses also. Obviously not startups because you don't have any past performance, but new companies that have a few contracts under their belt, they have a good chance too. So understand that. So that's why SHIELD is so important. It's not only for large businesses, it's for all types of businesses who can cover any of those 19 areas. So let's look at the evaluation factors. So at the base of the IDIQ level, there's only one scored factor. That's the corporate experience, as we discussed. You're required to provide 2 to 3 past performed examples, and each example must cover at least 2 SHIELD scope areas, 2 of those 19 areas. Now, this section is where the government will decide whether you qualify for a contract seat or not. So it is the most important part of your proposal. There are only 6 pages limit. So you might think that 6 pages is, very few pages, so there's not work to be done. Per my experience, if you have a 50-page limit, it's much easier to prepare a proposal with a 50-page limit than a proposal with a 6-page limit. So, because you have to be very concise, you have to work hard to actually convey all the messages you want in very concise and short and understandable language in 6 pages. So don't underestimate those 6 pages for volume 2. They are the most important part of this opportunity and what gets you the contract, or actually does not get you the contract. Okay, so this slide explains the factor 1, how it will be judged. So each of your project examples will be measured on 5 different areas: recency, relevancy, scope, scale, and complexity. You need to show not just that you've done the work, but that it matches SHIELD's mission areas and demonstrates your capability. Every example must be self-contained, so you can't reference to other things, with clear supporting evidence. If you meet the threshold, you'll earn a seat on the contract. That easy. Okay, now we also have a evaluation factor called responsibility, but and I forgot to mention on the previous slide. So in terms of factor 1, the corporate experience, it's again acceptable or not acceptable or non-acceptable, whatever they call it, unacceptable. Okay, there's no scoring involved. So either you're acceptable, so you get the contract, or you are unacceptable, you don't get the contract. That easy. Now, on the responsibility factor, again, it's a pass-fail. You just have to make sure that you cover everything that is required, including if you're a large business, small business subcontracting plan, reps and certs, OCI, organization conflict of interest, and so on and so forth. But it is essential. You don't want to miss, because you didn't pass the responsibility factor. So the government will verify your financial resources, stability, and past performance records. They'll do it themselves. They might check your CPARs if they want. So far, they've not asked us to actually submit CPARs. We'll have to see if we have to, in the final solicitation, if they have to submit CPARs or they will actually do it themselves. They will also confirm that you have the required facility clearances, so you have to mention it. That's, of course, not a pass-fail item, facility clearance. You will probably need secret or top secret facility clearance at the task order level. So you might actually ask, if you're awarded, you might ask the government to actually help you get your facility clearances. But I just want to make sure that you understand, you do not, at least so far, we'll have to see the final solicitation, you do not need to have a facility clearance at this time to submit your proposal. They also want to see that, foreign ownership, is not there. You don't have foreign ownership, and then obviously the subcontracting plan must be there in place. Now, minimum qualifications. So the company must be obviously US based. You must have an active SAM registration along with a valid CAGE code. You will also need to provide at least 2 recent past performance examples, as we discussed, from the past 5 years, covering 2 of those, each of those 2 or 3 contracts, covering a minimum of 2 of those 19 scope areas. And then meeting these basics ensure that your offer is eligible for consideration. So you want to make sure that you have these. Most companies obviously have, if you're in this field. Now let's discuss also security and compliance needs. So to qualify, you must hold or be actively pursuing a facility clearance. Pursuing meaning that you can actually later on ask them, most likely at secret or top secret level. But as I mentioned, it is not a requirement right now. It's not a pass-fail that if you don't have a top secret facility clearance, they're going to put you aside. They have not mentioned that. If your company has foreign ownership or control, you will need an approved mitigation plan. On the cybersecurity side, MDA expects contractors to comply with the NIST 800-171, adopt zero trust principles, and provide supply chain risk management plans, along with software bill of material documentation, that sort of thing. Now, Note that since it includes the FAR for CMMC requirement, which is 252.204.7021, contractor compliance with cybersecurity maturity model certification level requirement, that's the name of the FAR. So it will probably require CMMC certification of level 2 or 3. They have not mentioned it here at as a requirement that you need to supply with your submission, but for sure you will need that to get awarded and to participate in task orders. So if you do not have level 2 or level 3 CMMC certification already, by all means go after it. This is one of the services we provide, but I mean, I'm not trying to sell anything. You do need this. So go after getting the CMMC certification of level 2 or 3. Okay, now let's look at some of the prime contractor considerations. I'm going to discuss also subcontractors. So if you're priming, let's discuss some of the issues that you should consider. So SHIELD has a ceiling of $151 billion over 10 years, making it a huge vehicle for large integrators. So companies like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, L3Harris, and so on are obviously expected to be major competitors. But to succeed as a prime, you must demonstrate broad capabilities across multiple technical areas, including sensors, interceptors, command and control, and cyber. So strong corporate experience and technical leadership, are essential, and we discussed it. But I want to say that as there are no limit to the number of companies they're going to select, so far they've said it, even though those large companies that I've mentioned here are going to participate, it doesn't mean that other large businesses cannot participate. As I mentioned, if you cover any of those 19 scope areas, and you have 2 or 3 contracts that cover them, you have a good chance to win actually and be part of this. And then you have to compete, obviously, at the task order level. Now, some strategic consideration, how to actually posture for success beyond the base award. So large businesses must submit strong, realistic small business subcontracting plans and demonstrate credible pathways to use diverse partners. This is important. Remember, winning a seat is only the beginning, obviously. The real competition plays out at the task order level, but you still want to be, put in the door. That means investing early in capture, shaping requirements where appropriate, and establishing clear work share with teammates. Keep a steady cadence of engagement with MDA and relevant forums to refine your approach. The goal is a repeatable task order engine powered by well-aligned partners, ready artifacts, and decisive proposal execution. So you have to think about that right now. Think of it that you have won, so you want a team that you can actually perform. So when you're creating a team, think ahead how you can actually perform the best with them. Now, let's also discuss for those companies who want to be subcontractors. So, for small businesses, SHIELD presents multiple viable paths. If you have 2 or more recent relevant projects, you can actually consider a bid as a prime. If not, then position yourself as an indispensable subcontractor to major integrators. And you do that by leaning into niche strengths, such as, for example, AI, ML, fusion, hardening and cyber, M&S, test, or specialized build. All these different types of niche strengths. So you can also use mentor protege or joint ventures to strengthen qualifications and scale responsibility. Being easy to buy, so to say, prepped compliance artifacts, quick NDA TAs, and clear onboarding plans will help you win spots across multiple teams. They have not mentioned whether a subcontractor can be in multiple teams or not. So for the time being, assume that you can be and try to be in as many teams as you can. Okay, some positioning tactics. So effective subcontractor positioning is being proactive on concrete. So select a few anchor primes whose portfolios and past work align with your strengths, and cultivate parallel teaming lanes to avoid single thread risks. So you don't want to be in one area only. That's what I mean. Bring compliance to the table. So pre-built SBOMs, SCRM artifacts, and export control checklists. All of these reduce risk for primes, and they will buy it better. Show that your teams can be integrated quickly with defined roles and tools already validated. So these are all the things that you should work on. Negotiate IP and data rights terms early. Keep a forward view of likely task orders, and prepare rough concepts and staffing ROMs to accelerate team decisions. So these are all different types of work that you can do for your positioning. Okay, small business participation is encouraged, but will probably primarily come through subcontracting under primes, unless you have good past performance. I mean, those 2 or 3 contracts with MDA or DoD. Success for small firms will depend on teaming agreements, obviously, strong subcontracting plans, and demonstrating niche capabilities like AI fusion, autonomy, or directed energy subsystems. So in those areas are some of the areas that you can actually go for. Okay, now let's discuss strategy. I've titled this strategies to secure a seat on the SHIELD opportunity. I've divided this into 5 areas as to how to position your company. So on the area of capture and alignment, map your strengths to the Golden Dome layers and the SHIELD scope, sensors, C2, shooters, or space, and so on and so forth. And use standard industry events like NDIA or MDA webinars to stay engaged and influence the architecture. So these are the works that you should do under capture and alignment. Now, for teaming and subcontracting, partner with established primes to navigate security and compliance. Make teaming agreements clear on roles, IP rights, and responsibilities. Okay, let's move on. So number 3, compliance and security postures matters. Security facility clearance addressing FOSI, adopting zero trust, all of these, having your SBOMs, supply chain plans, and cybersecurity evidence ready for audit. All of these should be sought after. In terms of demonstrated experience, we discussed this. So show recent projects that prove your technical depth and leadership. Validate your claims with FPDS extracts, as I mentioned, or get signatures from the contracting officers or the prime. Now, in terms of proposal readiness, keep your SAM registration and certifications current, and make sure that you do have the R&D NAICS code in your list of NAICS codes on SAM, because obviously this is under that. So you might not have that. Make sure that you actually include that, add that to your list of the NAICS codes that you have under SAM. Otherwise, there might be glitches in your participating in this opportunity. Be ready with a compliant volume 1 and volume 2 that is aligned to the final RFP, obviously, and submit through the portal, the government portal. Now let's discuss, those were how to position yourself. Now let's discuss security and compliance readiness. So treat these as sort of pass-fail gates. Ensure you're actually sorting facility clearance. Your FOSI documentation is current and credible. Mature zero trust patterns and continuous ATO practices prove resilience. Prepare SBOMs, SBOMs, and SCRM documentation now, and store all evidence in a sort of a structured repository to accelerate responses. Also train your teams on export controls and CUI handling, CUI. So compliance is muscle memory, not a scramble. So these are the things that you should do in terms of security and compliance readiness. Now, in terms of the execution and proposal readiness, create page budgets and templates now, and lock in pink, red, gold team reviews on the calendar. Don't wait until the full RFP drops. Stand up shells for all volumes aligned to the draft instruction to shorten cycle time. Pre-negotiate teaming and work share so integration is clear and defensible. Have a PIE plan. As I mentioned, it's not a very easy system to upload proposals to. That includes early submission and backup roles. Keep your BD rhythm through award, refining win themes and shaping likely task orders, for example, so you're ready to compete immediately after contract kickoff. As I mentioned earlier, it's a very fast-paced type contract, so you must be prepared. Okay, before going into the Q&A, let's very quickly discuss the services again, so you understand what we're doing. So we provide pre-consultation, pre-qualification assessment for those of you who are not sure if you actually qualify for SHIELD, full capture services, I discussed capture previously, and then full proposal development. We put a dedicated team, cradle to grave, prepare the proposal for you, both volumes. Selection of the contracts. You might have multiple contracts. We go through all the contracts you have that are relevant and pick the best 2 or 3 for them for you. And then obviously full and multiple review and compliance checks. Or if you're doing it in-house, we can do review and auditing for you. Okay, we are behind. So let's go into here is our contact info in case you want to contact myself, Avant. I'm VP Capture at GDIC, or my colleague Maroon Freedy. Please communicate with him if you want to set up a call, and I'll jump on a call and we can discuss any technical questions that you might have. Or if you have questions about services, proposal writing, capture management, all of that, please contact Maroon, and we can actually set up a call and to discuss. Okay, we have reached the Q&A. We are behind as usual. Let me start answering some of the questions. Okay, so quite a few questions. So let's answer a few at least in the remaining time. So question from Steven. I read that our 2 or 3 projects can be quote similarly related application unquote. What does this mean? Okay, good question. Here is my take. Actually, your question is I have to answer in a long term and a little bit technical. Apologies for that. So concretely, the RFP says the projects must be from MDA or similarly related application. So concretely, similarly related projects likely to count include work that maps to the obviously section C, those 19 areas, but they should essentially cover sensors, tracking, and fire control. For example, long-range radars, space-based or terrestrial missile warning tracking, sensor fusion, target discrimination, that sort of thing. So that was sensors, tracking, fire control. Now, C2BMC-like battle management, networking, open system architectures, MBSE enabling kill chains and layered defense. So that's another area. Third area would be interceptor or weapon system design and integration from, obviously prototype through production, fielding, sustainment, all that. Fourth area could be testing and evaluation, ground, flight, DT, OT, MNS, analysis, and experimentation, focused on defeating aerial and missile threats. And then, for example, fifth area could be cybersecurity for weapon systems or CUI environments, CUI environments, aligned with the DFAR 252-2047012 and the NIST SP 800-171, because SHIELD does require these. So these are some of what similarly related could actually convey to. Question from Lisa. If we don't have contracts with MDA but have with other agencies, my question is, which agency experience will carry the most weight? Okay, so the RFP states only DoD departments and agencies may use SHIELD. That strongly suggests DoD programs closest to missile defense, IAMD, missile warning and tracking. These will be the most persuasive, with MDA at the top. Now, if you ask me to order them in order of typical persuasive power, so to say, I would say first comes the Missile Defense Agency, MDA, with GMD, NGI, C2BMC, LRDR, hypersonic defense prototype tests, sensor discrimination, interceptor development, integration, BMDS level, MNS and TNE. All of these map to Section C. Second, I would say Army PEO missiles and space, the SMDC, IBCS, Patriot, THAAD, integrated air and missile defense, fire control, sensors, interceptors, battle management, flight, ground tests. So these are close to the SHIELD's requirements. So this is the second one, Army PEO, missile and space. Third, I would say would be Navy PEO IWS, AEGIS BMD, and SPY-6. So these are sea-based missile defense sensors, fire control, weapon integration, testing. Fourth, I would say U.S. Space Force, Space Systems Command, Space Development Agency, missile warning tracking, space-based sensors, and C2 architecture that feed missile defense kill chains, digital engineering, OSA, MBSE. These are emphasized in SHIELD. Fifth, I would say U.S. Northcom, NORAD, U.S. Air Force, the AFL-CMC sensors. These come for Homeland Air Defense, over-the-horizon radars, BMC-2 for Homeland Defense architectures, strong Homeland layered defense tying. Sixth, I would also bring in DARPA, service RCOs, and prototyping offices. If the work demonstrates advances in intercept defeat, sensing, tracking, or BMC2 against aerial missile threats, and maps clearly to sections of C, then section C, those 19 areas, then you can use those as well. I hope I didn't make too many abbreviations and get you confused, but 6 areas: MDA, Army PEO, Navy PEO, US Space Force, US Northcom, NORAD, and DARPA. Okay. Question from John. Can you provide pricing for capture and proposal development towards the SHIELD opportunity? Okay, John, let's set up a call and discuss. I see that there are more questions, sales-related questions. So Moron will send everyone who have this kind of question an email to set up a call, and we can jump on a call and discuss, answer any questions that you might have. I think we've run out of time completely. We have quite a few questions remaining unanswered. I apologize for talking too much and running out of time, but I will respond to these questions by email. Thank you everyone again for your participation, and we look forward to seeing you on our future webinars as well. I would also very much appreciate to hear your feedback on this webinar. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.